Welcome back. You're watching India Market Open, and it is the stock of the morning is Apollo Microsystems. Pull up the counter and let's see what it's getting up to. We did flag this off in early trade this morning. Upper circuit on Apollo Microsystem. The reason being the counter or the company has received a Make-2 project from the Indian Army. This project involves the procurement of a vehicle-mounted counter swarm drone system under the Make-2 category of DAP 2020. We have it as A.K. Sai Kumar, whole-time director at Apollo Microsystems, joining us to tell us more about this order win. Hi, Mr. Sai Kumar. Thank you very much for joining us. Since you've, of course, had a listing, the stock has been on a tear. Investors, traders seem to have found a liking for Apollo Microsystems. We hear this morning that you've managed to bag a significant order. You want to walk us through details of the order, the size of the order, the timeline, execution, etc.?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for taking me on board. This is the Make-2 project. It doesn't carry any immediate revenue. But there are multiple building blocks that form this entire technology, which is highly futuristic in nature. Looking into the swarm drone threats that we are seeing coming in the near future. We have all the build blocks available, and we have a 75-week timeline to showcase this solution to Indian Army to bag a order for this. In terms of revenue, I foresee as an India perspective, it's close to 5,000 to 6,000 crore kind of a market potential. And across globe, we have already started talking to different friendly nations. The potential could be as big as 15,000 to 20,000 crores kind of a market potential there for this particular solution technology.
Sir, so just to understand, you will be showing your capabilities in the next multiple weeks, like you indicated, and once you're selected, will it then convert into an order? Is that a fair understanding?
Exactly. Yeah. This is called as a Make-2 program. So initially, the product has to be showcased. We have been shortlisted as one of the competent vendor, who could develop this complete solution for Indian Army's requirement. So we'll have to, showcase the complete, demonstrate this solution to Indian Army. Then it will get converted into a revenue-based order. That's how it is. That's called as a Make-2 program.
Right, and you said the market size of this is anywhere upward of 5,000 to 6,000 crores in India alone, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you successfully bag this one, then that could open the door for multiple more orders of similar nature coming your way.
Absolutely. As you already know that, drone attacks are a serious concern across the globe. The Ukraine war and other wars we have been watching. But the futuristic war is purely going to be autonomous in nature, which is a swarm of drones, not one drone alone. So this is a solution that's a hard kill, where a guided and unguided, rockets, will be fired, once they are identified through radars, and to kill the swarm of drones. So that's highly, critical, threats that we foresee in the near future. So this solution is primarily meant for that. And we have all the build blocks. We have been part of various weapon system development through DRDO. Several systems, we are part of more than 75 plus indigenous missile programs in the country. We have the ground systems, we have the rocket system, we have a guidance at DOT also from the DRDO. And we have a complete weapon system complex build blocks available. So we are very confident that we will be able to integrate all the existing technologies that we have with us, in completing the solution in very fast pace.
Right. So before we talk to you about the significance of the industry and why now is such an important time, especially in conjunction with what's expected from the budget for your sector and for drones especially, the company has been growing quite well. Revenues have been growing at 24-25%, at least that's what I've seen. Looking ahead into the next couple of years, is that sort of growth sustainable? Do you expect to see a growth in order book in the upward of 24-25%, and is there an upside risk to that?
As far as the growth is concerned, last year we did close to around 371 crores, and we expect at least our revenues to grow by 50% in this financial year. You will be able to see through this our Q1, Q2 results, how this momentum is going to catch up, and probably by 27, we'll be able to achieve 1,000 crore top line. which we are supposed to achieve by 25, because Corona has pulled out us by a couple of years, but we have reframed our targets to FY27 to reach 1,000 to top line.
Do you want to give me a breakdown of your top line? I mean, 50% is significant. I'm sure market participants would get very excited to hear this. And also tell me where the key growth, which are the key drivers for growth going ahead into the next few years?
There are multiple programs which are getting into production, like you may be aware of programs called Pinaka and Tara. They have already gone into production, and the system integration partners have been identified already. And we are a key system supplier in both these programs, which will the I mean to say the quantities will run in thousands in these programs, in both domestic as well as export. Apart from that, we are also a part of several indigenous underwater programs, lightweight and heavyweight torpedoes, which are for powering both the ATVP program, P-75 submarines, Scorpions, which we have imported. We are the only Indian player who is supplying the foaming system, which is a seeker for the torpedo for both heavyweight and lightweight torpedoes. And we have also developed some underwater mines, which we are talking to some friendly countries for export. We are applying for license, to Indian MOD for that. So as far as the order book point of view is concerned, there's a huge amount of funnel which is already there. Good order book already available with my customers, where I have my proprietary systems going for it. So we foresee that this momentum will continue to grow. There's no stopping for it.
And what are the sort of margins you currently enjoy in the business across the board, blended margins?
On a gross profit level, it will be around 25, 35%. But going forward, as the production projects increases compared to the development and production projects, I think further the gross profit margins are going to grow much better.
And also this futuristic drones that you talked to me about, and where you're of course going to soon bid for, where you have been selected amongst the three other players. What are the margins in that business? Is it better? Is it a better margin business in that sense?
It's still in nascent stage. I'll not be able to comment particularly on the profit margins, but it would be on a similar and much better than this.
Right. Also, you talked about exports. I want you to elaborate a little bit more on that. Some of it all of it sounds very exciting to us, and I don't know how much you can talk to us about, because this is sensitive. I do understand. But
we have a non-disclosure agreement. I'll not be able to touch base much in detail. But okay, these are some of the underwater, weapon programs which we are talking to some friendly countries, where we have developed the complete platform by ourselves, and we are in a very active stage of discussion with them. Once the right time comes, we'll come to the market and announce it appropriately.
Right. Let's now go down to what the street also is getting excited about. And you're from the industry. Drones is such an exciting, cost-effective defense equipment in that sense that we've talked about, and we're in the early stages there. With all eyes on the budget in 2 weeks, one from an industry standpoint and one from drones specifically, what is it that you're expecting in this budget?
Government has been quite industry friendly as far as the defense is concerned, and we also foresee that similar initiatives will be taken in drones. We per se are not specifically in the drone space. We are talking to two different small startup companies to acquire them, getting into a logistic drones for military applications, and as well as for the loitering munition. But I foresee that from the industry, other panels, members whom I'm in touch with, I think government is trying to give some very bring some remarkable changes for the drone industry, primarily in the defense segment.
I want to get a sense from you, because we've talked to a few private players, and they've stressed upon the fact that it's important for a PPAP sort of model, or public-private partnership model to sort of pick up steam in the defense sector as well. Is that what you also feel? Do you feel like PPP could be an important sort of partner, sort of agreement that would help the sector grow even more than it is currently?
Obviously, the triple P model, which is more popular in a non-defense segment, particularly in the infrastructure and other segments, But as a very popular, hashtag word, but whereas if you see defense already, although it's not being used specifically like that, the triple P model is already being used. Where the private companies, the public sector companies, and the Ministry of Defense together, are working along with MSMEs in developing products. You are already aware that there is a huge, reorganization which is happening in DRDO, wherein DRDO will continue to be a technology, guidance partner in developing the technology, and more of an industry partnership is being welcomed into it. So Triple P is definitely a model, which will be successful because different stakeholders have to get involved, in developing one state-of-the-art technology, and for which this is definitely a good pathway.
Right, sir. Also, I don't know whether you talked about the PLI scheme in particular, but I think that is another need and want from your sector specifically. And how important is a dedicated R&D fund and, of course, creating common testing facilities? Is that something you see getting accomplished or fulfilled in this budget?
Still, I think, there's a lot of gap. We see the global average, of investments that are done in R&D, particularly from the private sector, vis-a-vis compared to India, which is running at around 1.2, 1.3% with the, compared to the global average of more than 5-6%. I think that's where, we have to catch up. More investments from the private sector has to be done. Similarly, the encouragement from the government has to increase from small budgeted, programs in terms of investing in R&D to encouraging the putting up more investments in it, which also is backed by confirmed, kind of, projections from the government that there will be a buy from their side. So that gives a lot of encouragement, from the for the private industry particularly, to invest more on R&D. We as a company, we invest close to 6 to 7% average of our revenues in R&D year-on-year basis, developing new technologies, research of the new technologies, and also augmentation of the previously developed technologies to meet the current threat requirements. But I think still some more encouragement is expected of in the upcoming budget, and we'll have to see, how it goes.
Just another area that I want to quickly talk to you about, which has, some may argue, has been addressed by the government by recent interventions, is of course prohibiting imports, promoting domestic manufacturing, and also liberalizing drone exports. Do you feel more needs to be done on this front to make India competitive with its global peers, and of course also restrict the amount of imports that come into the country? I know that list is extensive already, but do you think more can be done?
Yeah, the list is growing day by day. It's quite encouraging, but also that we see that a lot of players, although there is an embargo on a lot of products, still so many products are being imported, and they're kitty designed, kitty manufactured back in India. I think the fundamentals of understanding what is critical in per se. Now we talked about a drone. So what is actually still now being imported in drone, like the particularly the motors, the engines, or the propellers, and other typical avionics system. These various systems, that are part of the drone, they have to be designed. More of an encouragement of a design and manufacturing in India has to be done, rather than only a make in India. Just by putting an embargo doesn't suffice the problem. I think fundamentally imports of even the subsystems embargo has to be there, so that there is an encouragement for the Indian industry in developing technologies which are homegrown. So that when actually something serious happens, we still not be in a what do you call, need to depend on the foreign supplies for the components and subsystems for it.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. We'd love to chat with you, of course, when the budget is announced. Until then, good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, you too. Have a good week. In the meantime, the